What's going on, everyone? This is Sheets, and I'm going to be going over the MLB slate for this evening. NFL season is right around the corner. We have the U.S. Open that has slowly declining DFS slates just because the rounds are progressing, which means there are less matches. But we still have 16 matches, so so far so good there. We have a triple header of NASCAR events this weekend, which I'm sure Brandon is going to be all over. Brandon, otherwise known as the hottest DFS player in the United States, taking down UFC stuff, almost taking down NASCAR, also winning WNBA. He's really kind of feeling it right now. So he'll get back to his roots with the NASCAR content coming up this weekend. So a lot of good stuff. But yeah, everybody's waiting for the NFL season to get started. And yeah, that's true. But as I like to say, F the NFL, honestly. I so prefer the other sports for DFS. I mean, for just so many reasons. But NFL is where all the money is, and that's where all the juice is because, there's still a lot of casuals playing in the NFL. So it's definitely the softest. But in any case, let's get on to the MLB slate today. Let's go through, I almost want to say old school, just going through the games, going through the pitchers, going through the hitting, and, seeing what we would like. And then we'll build kind of at the end, just kind of shaking up just a little bit today. I will be back at 6 to do more straight lineup builds, but let's talk about a couple of things. A real important thing that's happening today is the weather in Boston, because you have Paul Skeens on the mounds against Boston. And not only that, but you have a rookie pitcher on the other side of this from Boston, Peyton Tolle, I guess the way you pronounce it, who's got a little bit of upside himself. Certainly not as important as the Paul Skeens upside, but nonetheless. So right now, Roth has this as an orange, and it's just something that you're just going to have to monitor, and it's something you can't ignore because he is going to have the highest projection, so you have to make sure you know whether he's playing or not. The good news is it is a 7:10 p.m. game, so I'd like to think that we're going to have some kind of clarity before that game starts at least, which means you're not really going to miss anybody. Okay, aside from that, weather doesn't seem to be the issue. The other thing, again, overall to look at for the slate is the fact that it's a weird Coors slate because on the one hand, you have a Coors slate where you want to play the away team, but then again, the away team hasn't scored any runs since the Eisenhower administration, that being the Cubs. So I don't think that's going to really affect the projection. I don't think it's really going to affect the ownership either, except to say that it's not like he's got, I guess these guys are kind of cheap. I mean, Kyle Tucker's not cheap at 6,500. And they did actually price these guys up, like Pete Crow Armstrong, 5,500, Suzuki, 5,000. So I'm wondering how popular this is really going to be. I guess we'll get there. So I guess we'll first take a look at the Milwaukee-Toronto game. And from a pitching perspective, Bieber and Peralta, if you told me Bieber was at full go, still don't know whether I'd play him. Milwaukee is just a very, very difficult matchup here. And you combine that with Bieber not really having that big ceiling pitch count right now. I don't think that he kind of stands out as one of the top plays. Peralta is an interesting case because, on the one hand, Toronto doesn't have too many strikeouts. They're not a really good strikeout matchup, but it's been suggested that Peralta is kind of matchup proof. When he gets going, he can put up a number on anybody. And you look at his projection, he's only like a 14, 15-point projection, which means no one's going to play him. I have him as a 5% owned pitcher. I don't know. I mean, I think that he would certainly make a lot of sense. So that's something to keep in mind. As far as the hitting from this game, I mean, we'll just take a look at it, see where these guys kind of stand in my rankings. but I mean, neither of them really stand out at all. You know, like where's Milwaukee? I don't even see them. Milwaukee, they average 100 runs a game, and yet they're still not projecting well at all. Toronto, I mean, similar with Toronto. I mean, I'm not really. These are like two of the lowest projected teams as far as my rankings go, as far as stacks. So for me, I don't think I'm going to get to Bieber, but I think that Peralta as a very low-owned pivot off of all these, hashtag better plays, I think it's worth a shot. Okay, now again, I don't know if Sabersim's going to get me there, but just kind of talking through this. Pittsburgh, Boston, or as I mentioned earlier. So you have Paul Skeens, and you also have this guy Tole. I mean, obviously Skeens is the better player here, but let's just take a look at it. So Skeens, he has, a nice 19-point projection. He's, the best pitch. Well, some would say the best pitcher in baseball, and he's not the highest owned tonight because a lot of ownership is going to a very well-priced Robbie Ray. But we're going to get to him in a little bit. But, I mean, is Paul Skeens really only going to be 20% owned? I mean, if that's the case, you're probably going to have to play him. But, again, you have this weather issue that is really a big deal. So you have to kind of keep an eye on that and see where that takes you. So as I mentioned, I mean, this dude from Boston, he's one of a couple of rookies that are going today that are supposedly good prospects. And, I like playing guys like this. I really do. I don't think that projection systems really know how to handle them. So they kind of give them market weight. They treat them like kind of the average pitcher. And I think that a lot of projection systems, their creators have actually said that. And I don't think that's fair. Even though like their competition has been AAA or whatever, I think that if a pitcher's putting up 40%, 30% strikeout rates, even in the minors, I think that's got to be worth something. So for me, I thought the game would play, or I was confident the game would play, I would use him a little bit. So, I mean, these are the guys I always like to play. As far as hitting goes, I think if there's any team I would play, assuming that the game goes, it would probably be the Pittsburgh side. Again, for the same reasons that I'd like to play these prospects, because they have a lot of volatility, I also don't mind using the hitters against them because the pitchers have a lot of volatility. Let's take a look at the stacks, though. Let's see projection-wise if we'd be getting to them. I imagine not. No, that's not true. Look at this. I have Pittsburgh actually rated the number 3 overall stack as far as my rankings go, and actually very low ownership. So if you do get some news that this game plays, I think Pittsburgh's a very, very strong stack here. It's a good combination of being well-ranked and low-owned, which you don't get in DFS all too often. So if, in fact, you do get a yellow, this goes to yellow-orange or Roth or whatever, just decides that he's confident the game plays, as confident as he could be, I guess. I think Pittsburgh's pretty live here. All right, so Seattle and Cleveland, what do we have? Kirby and Logan Allen. So Kirby looks to be a very reasonable play here. I mean, you look at him, he rates, not as high as Robbie Ray. We'll get to him on the value scale. But he's still a very, very good pitcher. He still has a good projection at 17. He's usually the type of guy I don't think of as having a huge ceiling, but, not most likely. He's got good winning chances, and he is, decent projection, moderate ownership. I think he's pretty efficiently priced. I don't think you're getting, a lot of leverage playing him. I don't think you have a lot of leverage fading him. He's just kind of a dude, And Logan Allen just shows up. I mean, he's 6,200, but even at 6,200, he's not really showing up as a really good value piece here. It's so funny. Like Logan Allen is cheaper than Kyle Tucker. It's pretty funny. And also, Kyle Tucker actually has a higher projection. It's very rare that you get a hitter with higher projections than these pitchers, I guess. Anyway, no, I'm not too interested in Logan Allen. On the other side of the plate here, not of the plate, but I guess the other side of the plate. Take a look at the stacks. Seattle, I mean, they're down the list, but they're low owned. I mean, if I was going to make like kind of a visual case for this, the lowest owned of the top 10, like them in Colorado, which we'll get to later. So that's very strange. Colorado, top 10 and very, very low owned. I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, sure, Seattle, why not? Cleveland, no, they're like way down on the list here because of the Kirby matchup, so I don't imagine they're going to show up too highly. All right, so you have two kind of cool pitchers here that you might be able to use. You have on the Miami side Yuri Perez, and on the Mets side Jonah Tong. And you know, Yuri Perez has been a little bit, you know, obviously a lot more proven than Tong. This is, I think, Tong's first start. We'll take a look at first. Yuri Perez's projection is a little surprising. I thought that he'd be a little bit better. 13 points seems like a little low for him. He's been doing really, really well at 4% ownership. The Mets, listen, the Mets matchup is certainly no joke. But again, if at extremely low ownership, I got no problem with this. The real, you know, not talking point, but the real question is how good this dude is, this Jonah Tong. I mean, he's basically just mows everybody down in the minors, but now he's coming up to the majors. That's, you know, it's a question that's always put out there. And he's got a good matchup, though, I mean, against Miami. So the other thing, though, is that I do think that Tong, as opposed to, say, the guy from Boston, I think Tong is going to get played, if for no other reason. I mean, first of all, he's a tremendous prospect, and also the last Mets prospect that came out there, McLean, just completely destroyed the slate. Pitching, what, 8 innings? Something like that? 7 and change? I don't know. It was a carload of innings and just was awesome. So that box score is going to spill over to people's analysis of this rookie. So I do think that Tong is going to get some ownership. But, I mean, how do you deny that? You know what I mean? Like, this kind of talent, or this kind of at least projection of talent against Miami. So for me, I think you have to sort of play him. On the other hand, I mean, if you really want some sick leverage, I mean, I don't know if you really need it, but Miami, again, you're talking about pitchers that have never started in the major leagues, so they can be very nervous, especially in New York. And next thing you know, they could be in trouble. But I don't know if you need that on today's slate, but if you do come up with some Miami in 150 max, I think it's perfectly reasonable. But you know, again, I think these rookie pitchers or second-year pitchers, whatever, they're responsible for a lot of the volatility in slates like this. So you have the Yankees against the White Sox, and you have kind of sneaky Carlos Rodon revenge, right? Going back to Chicago, but it's not like it's revenge, right? I mean, Carlos Rodon, he'd much rather be on the Yankees than on the White Sox. And you know my thoughts on Carlos Rodon. I usually try to find excuses to play against Carlos Rodon. And it looks as though his strikeouts are kind of on the decline too. So I think the White Sox are just kind of live here to do something against him. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a little bit biased. I mean, I always hate the Yankee pitchers, always. But let's just take a look at it. So Rodon, 27 value score, only 11% ownership. He's reasonable here, I have to say. But I think he's going to get played. He has to. I mean, it's against the White Sox, even though the White Sox have been, very feisty to say the least of late. So I guess he's fine. And if Skeens gets scratched for weather, then this 17.6 projection has a lot more relevance. So we'll keep an eye on it. And also, even if Skeens does play, this natural price pivot gives Rodon some viability as well. So Uh, yeah, I mean, I guess as a low on play, he's not bad. The White Sox pitcher, we talked about the White Sox pitcher last time, this guy Gomez, and I played him, and I was expecting him to have like a lot of like upside, but maybe walk people. It was kind of the opposite. He was basically put out a pretty boring performance, if I'm not mistaken. Let's remind ourselves of this. Let's pull this up for a second. Because I remember we talked about him at length. I think it was pretty pedestrian. Yeah, it was. Oh, we missed it. We missed this one. Okay, I think we played him here against Atlanta, where he got the win and only 3 strikeouts. Very pedestrian performance in the win. And then here, this type of thing is what I was expecting more of. You know, like 90 pitches, which looks good. We have 6 Ks. That I'm interested in. 3 walks, and that was his. You know, that was his issue. So this was the type of performance I was expecting or hoping for against Atlanta instead of the 9.85 with the win. But against the Yankees, this is tough. So I'm not going to go to him. As a matter of fact, I can imagine the Yankees have to look good here, right? I mean, you got it. This is the exact kind of guy that could get roasted by the Yankees. But for some reason, they're not really showing up as great values. Maybe they're really cheap. Let's look at them from just a raw points perspective. Yeah, I guess that's it. Because they're rated like second, third, fourth, fifth, or whatever for raw points. But in value, they're rated like 9th or 10th, which means that they're probably just really expensive. So it will be tough to get to. Hey, no problem, Po Degen. So let's we'll say the Yankees are obviously a good play if you can get to them. So we'll just see if SaberSim or hand building, whatever, will let you get to them. Listen, if you want to go play stuff like, Uri Perez and we probably won't get a chance to play Tole, but and then pay down for Tong, for example. You play these 2 guys in the same game, then you could probably, let's see what these Yankees are. I mean, this isn't, Ben Rice at only 4,800. This guy's an animal. Goldschmidt stinks. I wouldn't play him. Nah, not anymore, Andy. I just kind of gave up on it. Jazz 5,200, pretty expensive for him, McMahon is 3,400. That's obviously good value. And then, you have to pay for somebody. So one of these guys you probably have to pay for, like maybe Cody or something. So you can certainly do this. That's probably going to be much chalkier than I'm giving it credit for. All right, let's move on. Detroit against Kansas City. This is Lugo against who? This is Lugo against Chris Paddock. 6,700 seems sort of reasonable, and 7,200 seems sort of reasonable for Lugo. I mean, these are not the greatest fantasy performers, but they're not terrible. I don't know. Let's see. Lugo 7,400. He's like 12th or 13th on my list. 7% ownership, I guess. And then you have, who's the other guy? Even I lost him already. Paddock. I barely even see him on my board here. So yeah, I guess not. I guess neither of these pitchers look particularly interesting. Let's take a look at the hitting here, just for the fun of it. Let's see. We'll resort by modified stacks here and see what we get here. No, not really even. So Kansas City is kind of down on the list, like 11th. Who else? What team? What's he on? What are we talking about? Oh, Detroit. We'll see Detroit. I mean, not really. So again, in an effort to make a very big slate small, probably going to X that game out. And when I mean exit, I don't mean actually exit out, but you know what I mean? Like, but if I was going to hand build, I wouldn't play it. I wouldn't expect to play in a lot of it. That's the way I view Xing out. So I don't X anything out on it, for real. All right, Angels against the Astros. We have, our friend Tyler Anderson and our enemy Christian Javier. Okay, I can't imagine that Tyler Anderson's going to look good. You know, he's the guy we always try to play against. But I imagine that Javier will look pretty good, and he does. He's part of this whole glut of pitchers that are decent value that are getting it owned a little bit. So I have Javier at like 10, 12%. And you know, listen, you have to watch these ownership projections throughout the course of the day. And when I say that, I don't mean you have to be glued to them all day, but you have to just make sure that when you put your lineups in, that your ownerships are updated at least. Okay, because it's possible Javier ends up chalky. You know, who knows? Well, we'll think about that. But I definitely think Javier has got to be in play here, and you'd have to believe the Astros against Tyler Anderson would look really, really good. We'll take a look though. Yeah, right up there. I mean, they're fifth, certainly reasonable. And if you look, as I said, they're not particularly high owned. I mean, you have the Cubs and the Rangers taking up ownership. You have then San Diego, which we'll get to, and Dodgers, which we'll get to. So the Astros and the Pirates we mentioned earlier, you know, Pirates have weather issues. So if you're looking for a team that looks like okay, that doesn't look so owned, is the Astros. I find it hard to believe they won't be high owned against Tyler Anderson, but we'll take a look at it. Okay, moving on. Padres against the Twinkies. We have Zebby Matthews against Nestor Cortez, former Yankee pitcher who I am biased against as well. Yeah, Javier's not been good, Anthony. Yeah, I you know, not surprising. Cortez once again is going to look like this value play, and I just hate it. It's like, I mean, it looks fine. He's got a decent value score. He's got a decent ownership. Again, to me, him and Javier, these guys all look very similar to me. So if I get to them, I'm gonna hold my nose and hope they're 15 points or 14 points is enough, because that's what these guys are gonna get. And Zebby Matthews, I'm really not getting to. What I am getting to, I would imagine these Padres. Yeah. So as I mentioned before, you know, they have them rated number 4 as far as, you know, combination. That's what modified stack is, by the way. It's a combination of raw points and value. So I do have the Padres rated number 4, and their ownership is reasonable. Listen, anybody aside from the Cubs, it looks like, is going to be reasonable. So Padres look good to me. Yeah. As I mentioned, Cubs at Colorado, and as I mentioned, you know, many times so far, the Cubs look like the best play on the board, no matter what metrics you use, and they also look like the highest owned team on the board, no matter what metrics you use. So, you know, this is one of the reasons why you could use Saberson to help build your lineups, because it will factor in ownership to some degree when it builds for you, instead of like you having to just guess whether you want to play Skeens with these guys, or whether you need to go double punt with these guys, or whether you need to play these guys at all. You have the benefit of Saberson or whatever product you use, but you have an unbiased, you know, mathematical conclusion at least to rely on, rather than your kind of instincts, which, and I'll rely on the math more than instincts almost every single time. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see whether the combinations of Chicago with Skeens, or Chicago with the, you know, with the other chalkier pitchers are going to be viable. Colorado, as I mentioned earlier, I mean, listen, they haven't really done much, obviously, this whole season, but they're still at home. They're still at home at low ownership. I mean, who's pitching? Cade Horton. I'm worried about Cade Horton. I'm going to get the Cubs. I'm going to get Colorado at low ownership. I'm down for that. So, yeah, I hope I get some of that when we run these things later. All right, Texas and Oakland. All right, I got something for you guys here. Now, this is rough, okay? But first of all, the Athletics matchups are always very volatile. You know, the stadium is very. Hello, I'm busy recording. Do you need me? Okay. Yeah. So it's always very volatile with the hitting environment and things like that. So we'll see. But the Athletics and the Rangers always are going to look, and the Athletics opponents are always going to look good as far as hitting goes, unless you have a really big time pitcher. As you'll see, Texas rates to be number 2, like overall here. You know, and the Athletics are way down on the list here against Jack Leiter. Jack Leiter, he can do it both ways. You know, he can rack up strikeouts as he did in his last matchup, or he can, you know, lose control, and then Oakland can kind of tee off on him a little bit. So I think this is a pretty volatile matchup. It's very surprising to me to see Texas as such high owned against Jeffrey Springs. Jeffrey Springs isn't bad, but listen, that's what the projections are showing. So I think this game is pretty viable here. And with that said, you know what I mean. If you see that Jack Leiter is going to get some ownership somehow, excuse me, if you see that the Athletics are going to get some ownership somehow, I do think that Leiter has upside. You know, so I think this game is a pretty weirdly looking four-pronger where you can play all 4 sides of it. All right, Arizona, you have Blake Snell against Zach Gallen. Blake Snell has not exactly been the reliable ceiling guy as he has been in the past, but listen, that's the way it goes. You know, you get a little older and you're not, you know, as much of a ceiling guy. But I mean, nonetheless, he's fine. You know, again, I keep referring back to this whole glut of guys below Robbie Ray, and they're all going to be pretty efficient. You know, Blake Snell, 17%, sounds fair. You know, against Arizona. Arizona is a good team. Not a great matchup for Snell, but he's a good pitcher. You know what I mean? This is like a very reasonable play. Gallen against the Dodgers is not going to show up, I promise you. Let's take a look at the hitting, though. Let's see if maybe we can get to some of these Dodgers as far as the stacks go. And I don't, you know, they're rated okay. They're rated number 6. Number 6 as far as value goes, just above the Yankees, about the same ownership. I can't imagine playing the Dodgers instead of the Yankees, though. I mean, the Yankees have that matchup against the Gomez guy, where the Dodgers are at least against a good pitcher and Zach Gallen. I mean, the more I think about this, how do the Yankees not blast this guy? I mean, he had a good opportunity. I don't know. Seriously, the more I'm thinking about this, that you have this combination of this dude really might not being that good. First time in Yankee Stadium, which is always nasty, plus the terrible bullpen. This is Yankee City, isn't it? I don't know. We'll see. But so, okay, Dodgers look fine, but I still think the Yankees are I guess the Yankees are going to be the best play. All right, San Francisco, Baltimore. So I've been alluding to this all day. You have Robbie Ray as a very, very strong projection and a strong value play here. You have all these metrics with respect to his strikeout rate against lefties and Baltimore's strikeout rate against lefties. And it kind of comes together in a very convenient, nice little package. And the confluence of that and his price of only being $9K is going to make him extremely popular, I believe. Now, when you look at the actual projections, my projection models, like all of them, projection models out there are going to agree with this, right? I have him 11 points higher than everybody else on the value score. But, you know, it's the Robbie Ray thing. You know, Robbie Ray has always been a very volatile pitcher. You know, so he's not very consistent. So they used to say, you know, you play Robbie Ray as low owned, but not as chalk. And this is an example of where he is going to be pretty healthy chalk here. So, again, I'm not saying not play him, but again, when you have your lineup builds, you're going to probably want to play him with the lower owned stacks, you know, if in fact you do play him. Dean Kremer is coming off no, maybe a couple of weeks ago, he had an amazing performance on qualifier day or on the FWC championship day. But I don't know. I mean, his usually doesn't have that type of upside. Whereas he's like way down on the list. I could barely find him. So probably not going to get to him. As far as hitting goes, yeah, I mean, you could always go play Baltimore as a direct bit of leverage against Robbie Ray. And I certainly am not going to kill you for that. I mean, you get the wrong Robbie Ray, you're going to want Baltimore. You know, that's just the way it is. San Francisco, I'm not really seeing too much. So why don't we? So this is like almost like an old school breakdown, right? Went through all the games, went through all the pitchers and all the stacks and who I hashtag liked. So now I'm curious to see what SaberSim would actually give me based on everything I just said. Now again, what's very what's very unique is the problem with the Pittsburgh game. You know, we don't know what's going to happen there. The other thing here is I'm only playing probably the big buy-ins. I'm only playing, I think, 3 entries in the perfect game and maybe 1 in the 250. I'm really not playing. I don't think I'm playing MME tonight. Just I'm going out. Whenever you go out, it's just not a good idea to play MME because I mean you're going to want a late swap more. I can deal with like the big buy-in lineups because if anything happens, I can fix those by hand. But if you're going out, you really don't want to MME. But let's build anyway for MME, I guess. Let's build one. And we'll put my projections in here. We'll be curious to see what we get. Let's I guess we'll build 5,000. I mean, not the end of the world. And again, I'm curious what I get to. I bet you I don't get to any of these rookies that I want to play, though. You know, I'll get to the Mets guy because I think he's got a projection here. He's got a good projection. But I don't think I'll get to the – I definitely am not going to get to the super low on Yuri Perez, I don't think. Or I definitely won't get to the Peralta, who I kind of want to play at low ownership. There are a couple of these guys. The Red Sox guy, you know, he'll be really low owned, and again, but you got to watch for the weather there. So let's see what we get. I guess I'm guessing that it'll be Robbie Ray. I would say, what do I want to build for? I'll put in like the top 150 lineups I'll rate. And I'll bet you that I get 80% Robbie Ray. That's what I am guessing. And he's certainly going to be the cash game play. He's certainly the low risk play. I think probably I don't want to even give the right combination because I don't know what's happening with Skeens. Maybe Ray and Kirby? Ray and Tong? I mean, is that what's going to happen? Is Tong going to end up being chalk after all this? Well, let's kind of take a look. Enter the number of lineups. That's fine. Why? Oh, I'll wait for this to finish. So it looks as though, as far as pitching goes, wow, not 80. It's only 58, and then 20 Skeens, and then 18 Javier. As I mentioned, just like a little bit of everybody, you know. But certainly none of those bow wows I was talking about earlier. Now, what about the stacks? Maybe the Yankees after all that. No, well, look at the Cubs, right? Texas, sure. And then the Yankees. I mean, I think this is the play. I mean, honestly. You have a nice bit. You have a nice the Cubs have a lot of ownership that's going to soak up. Texas, as you see, is soaking up ownership. You're going to get the Yankees, not the highest owned stack, against a guy who's very. I mean, I'm telling you, I played him last time I played him because I thought, he had a chance to be low owned with upside, but the guy is extremely fishy. And the Yankees are really, they're grooving right now. That's another analytical term. So, yep. That's pretty much all I have, I guess. We'll take a look for a second at FanDuel just to see. Oh, okay. So if in fact you do get this Pittsburgh game going to go off, you have Peyton Tolle at 5,500 on FanDuel. I mean, that is obscene. Not obscene. I mean, it might be too high at the end of the day, but it's just a very low salary for any pitcher on FanDuel. I know he's probably not a favorite to get the quick win bonus, not quick win bonus, the quality start bonus, but 5,500. I mean, who cares? So yeah, I agree. I would play him. I would play him. Oh, I'll get there, Pro DJ. Yeah, so we'll look at the stacks in a sec. Cubs, Texas, Yankees, Houston, same shit. So yeah, I mean, like if you could do that, I don't know whether you're watching this on X or on YouTube, but yeah, I mean, you hit that like and subscribe button. I mean, number one, it helps us because like the more people that do that, the more views it gets, the better the site does. I'm not too knowledgeable on that, but that's what they tell me. And to subscribe the button you should do because this way you get notified when we go live again. So obviously that's why you're supposed to do that. And we also have a lot of premium packages on TrueDFS that go further into this kind of stuff. And listen, whether you want to pay for that, that's up to you. It really depends on how much you play. Because honestly, DFS has become a pretty expensive hobby if you want to pay for content. You know what I mean? Because it used to be you could pay like $10 a month, and get pretty much everything you want. Now it is kind of expensive. Like if you were gonna subscribe to TrueDFS and you'd want to really get the most out of it, I mean, I would want you to apply to subscribe to TrueDFS and probably SaberSim too. And now we're talking like a couple $100 a month. So you have to be a serious player really to be a real subscriber. Because otherwise, I mean, it's a lot of money. But I mean, if you are going to play, you may as well do what you may as well do what gives you the best chance to win, and you kind of learn something also. So yeah, I mean, there are other packages that don't include SaberSim. You're definitely going to be behind the 8 ball unless you're using some kind of optimizer, but that's up to you. Okay, that's pretty much all that I have. We also have a Discord channel that you can join where you get to yap with people that know something and yap with people that don't. Good combination of that. And I guess that's pretty much it. I'll be back at 6 to go over a little bit more of this in more details where I actually share the lineups I might be playing.